Buddy, Eternal Phoenix here. I just want to say for stars, thank you guys for helping me get up to 23,000 subs. We're growing every day. I really appreciate that. Today's video is going to be a little special. I am joined by my buddy RJ Lane of On the Rise Anime. And do you guys do games now too, or just anime?
Anime and video games. You could say A and V. A and V is good.
Okay. All right. Well, tell them a little bit about yourself if you don't mind.
I'll be brief. My name is RJ. I'm from the channel On the Rise. You can just call us on the Rise AV, but you can just call us On the Rise. I like to do video essays on anime. We stream games, but the main appeal is video essays on different animes and different community topics that I find interesting, really.
So this isn't actually the first time that we got together. The first time was a couple years back, actually, when I first started my channel many years ago. These guys helped me get my start, and they've been really good to me in terms of the community and just very friendly. And they have really good opinions on anime and just how the community is growing and where anime as a genre is going these days. And today's video, we're going to be talking about just like anime that you may watch for a little bit and then drop suddenly. So there's a thing in the community, it's like kind of like a 3-episode rule. If an anime does not pull you in within that first 3 episodes, do you drop it or do you not? I have tons of people who have recommended anime to me, like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, for example, or like One Piece. And I've seen bits and pieces of those shows, and I have to know what's going on, and I've seen movies and everything. But there's a lot of shows out there where they'll say, oh, it gets good, but it gets good at like episode 200 or something. And I'm sitting here at episode 1 through 3, which I get. You're supposed to give every show needs its fair chance to kind of shine and show you what it's about. But where do you draw that line? How do you know when an anime is not good for you? And just because it's hyped up, it doesn't necessarily always mean that it's going to be a good show or that you're going to like it. Kind of like the Game of Thrones effect there. I know tons of people who watch Game of Thrones. I didn't, because I don't really like watching stuff when it gets like everybody's telling me to watch it. And then when it got towards the end of it, people were saying they were really disappointed about the ending. I'm like that with anime. I don't want to like ride a train just to find out that the ending's so bad that I wish I never watched it or something like that. But what's your take on that?
I'm actually gonna go for a hot take. It's kind of surreal, going back to the start of what you said. How we this is the first time we collabed, right? You're the channel's first content creation friend, so you're the channel's first one. Eternal Phoenix is On the Rise's first friend we ever made on the content creation space. But going back to the 3-episode rule, hot take. I don't agree with it, and I'm on the opposite. I'm on the side of the spectrum where I don't think you need 3 episodes, depending on the show. To be honest, there are so much, and I feel like it's the climate of anime nowadays. There's so much anime out there. They're being aired out there. I mean, we're getting like 30 to 40 shows each season of new anime, and if episode 1 doesn't at least make you feel like you need to watch the rest of the series, then you're good. I personally think you're good. There's so much shows airing nowadays. The 3-episode rule has to go out the window because no one has time. At least I don't have time anymore.
Better, basically.
Yeah, you could be watching something better. I don't have time. There's like, I'm trying to keep up with the season, right? I like to keep up with the season. I like to keep up with the anime, right? So I'm checking out a lot of shows every time a season airs, and I'm cutting a lot of shows out because it's just like, I don't have time. And it's like, I'm familiar with the show. Maybe if it gets a cult following and the fan base tells me, you got to go back, maybe I'll go back, but no promises. I mean, even this season now, there's so much harem anime airing that I dropped. But it's I don't think the 3-episode rule is needed anymore. I think it was a time where, there were about 30 shows for you to watch in general, like at all. But now there's over hundreds and hundreds of anime out there that you could be exploring on Crunchyroll alone. Like, to have a 3-episode rule, just no one has time for it, really.
Yeah, and for me, it's like so every show that I talk about, I've seen, or if I haven't seen in a while, I'll rewatch it and stuff just to talk about it on the channel and everything. But for me, there's like so many shows out there on my list that by the time that I get around to a show I really want to watch, there's a new one out and somebody's telling me, hey, you need to watch that, like Undead Luck or Solo Leveling or, you know, Jujutsu Kaisen when it first came out. They're like, you have to watch this or you have to read the manga to get caught up and everything. And sometimes it's not even just the show itself. Like sometimes the manga is just so good and it's so hyped that you expect the show to be good. And then sometimes when it gets to the actual show, you know, not everybody's got enough money to just be throwing hundreds of $1,000s at like Mappa Studios or something to get like good quality stuff out there. And even with that, you know, I'm sure you've heard all the stuff going on with them these days. Like, do you really want something to come out if it's going to be like at the cost of other people and what they're dealing with their situation over there? But it's just like I gotta watch Solo Leveling. I gotta watch. There's like Kaiju number 8 that's coming out that I've heard is supposed to be really good. There is Kagura no Bachi, I believe is what it's called. But they're saying that's the next Jujutsu Kaisen, basically. That when that gets animated, they think it's going to break the internet, stuff like that. And there's so many anime out there that are going to just, you know, break the internet these days. That it's just like, I don't know where to begin, and I don't want to get left behind in a sense. Like, if the show's overhyped, I don't really want to watch it. But if I can be there when it starts and I can ride that little train of like, oh, this is good, I want to show my friends about it, you know, stuff like that. And I'm there when it happens, but I don't want to be like getting to a point where let's just say like Solo Leveling. I think it's got about maybe 3 or 4 episodes out at this point, and the manhwa for it, because it's a Korean based and anime adaptation. I don't want to be sitting here and finally, after, you know, all the hype from the manga that people have been telling me about, and I watched that, and then literally like a week later they're like, oh yeah, you got to watch this other anime, it's so much hype, it's so good. It's like, you know, Solo Leveling is nothing compared to this, you got to watch this. And now all of a sudden I'm just overwhelmed because now I got like 10 shows, maybe if I want to make a short-term list, like 10 shows of stuff that I've been told I need to watch or that I think is even worth watching just because I've done a little bit of research on it. And now that's overshadowed by the next big thing that's coming up, because like you said, it used to be back in the day, you know, and you could watch it on, at least in America, on Toonami. Every week you got an episode coming out from multiple shows and you're watching it like on a schedule. But now with streaming, with Crunchyroll, with High Dive, with what little bit they got on Hulu and all these other streaming platforms, like it's fast paced, like stuff is just popping out left and right. And you just like, it's just too much. Like, it's good, there's a lot, because that gives us as content creators a lot to talk about, but it's just in general, I'm one guy. Like, you have a team behind you. I'm one guy doing the editing, making the videos, watching the shows. And if I'm trying to give a review or recommendation video on a show that's got like 200 plus episodes, I'm not going to be able to get all the information in time to tell you if this is worth like a watch or not. And even then, like I always say, taste is subjective. You know, I might like something that you don't like. You might like something that I don't like. But what do you think about all that?
I got bad news for you. It doesn't get better. So as someone who is, I guess, a little caught up on anime in general, right? Like a bunch of seasonal shows came out today that I have to watch later today, right? So I have like 5 episodes of anime to watch. As someone who is caught up, even someone like me who does keep up with it still has shows that I need, that people tell me I need to check out, things that I miss, right? I can't watch everything. Like you said, I'm one guy, right? Bungo Stray Dogs is one that I apparently need to watch. I need to check out. A lot of people are telling me to check out.
I've heard good things and I've seen clips, and sometimes I feel like, and I'll let you get back to your point, but sometimes I'll see something on like Instagram or Facebook or something while I'm just scrolling through, and you'll see bits and pieces that look like amazing, and then you go to watch the show, and then those are like the high points of probably that episode or just that series in general, and you're just waiting for it to get to that point. And it just feels like it drags on with like a bunch of stuff that isn't that hype moment that you were told to watch it because of this, or the thing that told you, hey, you got to watch it because of this specific scene. And then you find out like that's 30 episodes down the line and you got to listen to like monologue, a little action monologue, and then you get that hype moment. But continue.
Yeah. It's still draining because even like I'm caught up to most of the talked about shows, and it's still like, oh well, there's still more for you to watch here. Well, have you seen this? Well, have you seen that? Well, have you seen this? And it's like, oh my god, like guy, I'll get to it. But on the bright side of that, it's like what you said, we're content creators, and a lot of people think that content creation is catching the show while it's trending, and it can be, right? You can do that. You can catch the show while it's trending, release a video on whatever anime is trending, get the views, right? But a lot of people, especially a lot of diehard fans of shows, like when you catch up. I mean, look at Totally Not Mark when he did the whole One Piece review and things like that. Anyone that catches up to One Piece, right? That's a content creation journey. They're getting a bunch of views. So on the bright side, playing catch up as a content creator is good for making content, but it is very stressful in the aspect of no matter how much you watch, there's still something more out there for you to continue watching. And everyone's just like, oh, you got to watch this, you got to watch this, you got to watch that. Oh, now that you've watched this, check this out because it's more hype. It's like, oh my goodness. Yeah.
And then now on going back to like how hard it is on us, because yes, as creators, as anime fans, as lovers of the community, we want to be able to share that joy that everybody else is having over these shows and try and check out what is being shown. And like I said, like if it's overly hyped, I don't want to find myself like not even 25 episodes and being let down because I had expectations set by somebody else. I like to go into it in like kind of blind. If I hear a little bit about it, then yeah, I'll check it out. And then as long as it's not like everybody and their mother is just like telling me to watch this, I'll check it out on my own. And if it's cool, if it's good, then I can go through and I could talk about it on the channel, or I could just tell my friends about it. But as a content creator, and just me as a person, if I find something that's bad, or at least that I think is bad, like there's tons of shows that have, let's just say, objectively bad endings from a mass audience perspective. I want to be able to say, I've seen this show, that's why I'm not talking about it, kind of save you a little bit of heartache or a little bit of your time. So I have to personally like vet a show for me to talk about the show. I'm not just going to be like, oh, Luffy's got a new gear form, and then after that gets like the show just drops off and gets really, really bad. I'm not going to ride the hype train of him and his new form and talk about it if I knew that the ending was just going to make everything previous to that bad, because for me, it's not really, yes, the journey is fine. The journey is fun. But if the ending doesn't hit the mark, it ruins it for me personally. I don't know about for you, but you got to be able to land it on all aspects. Like, I'll take it a little old school. If Dragon Ball back in the day, when Goku got Super Saiyan 1, hype moment, fighting Frieza, it felt like you're sitting there for hours, like collectively with all the episodes. The battle, that final battle with Frieza on Namek, hours long and days of your life invested. If you would have got that form and then immediately lost, and then the series picked up with maybe Gohan or something, a lot of people, like nowadays, Goku is the icon of anime. A lot of people talk about him. He's the face of Dragon Ball and everything. But if I were to look back on that and he got that form, that great fight, and then somehow lost and we weren't at the point we were at now, I'm going to know about it. And I'm just going to be like, hey, maybe don't watch that because it happens like this. Or I just won't talk about it at all. But, obviously Dragon Ball did well and we are where we are now, to the point where I think they have a kid show now that they're talking about, Dragon Ball Daima. Is that what it's called? But they're going
the
like
new Dragon Ball.
Yeah. I don't know what they're doing with that, and I hope it's good because I am a longtime Dragon Ball fan. It almost reminds me of GT-esque like storyline when I think Kid Goku and everything. But hopefully that works out well. So what are some shows that you watched that you think maybe they weren't really living up to what you were told about, or some shows that maybe you dropped? I know we had discussed prior to the video, I think Undead Luck was one of them. But what's some stuff that you had watched that you just couldn't really get into?
Undead Unluck was my first one. I watched like 10 episodes of that. I felt like it really couldn't find its footing. Like David Productions, the same people that did Fire Force, same people that do JoJo's, always incredible production, like on a technical standpoint. Always love what they do with the source material. However, they seem to have this habit of taking I'm sorry, Undead Unluck fans, but taking mid source material and giving it great anime adaptations. And it doesn't, as someone who appreciates the story more than technical aspects, it doesn't keep me watching, really. So Undead Unluck has great animation, great sound design, great character design, great all of that. But the story I felt like was all over the place, couldn't find its footing. So I had to let it go. I had to drop it.
And that's fair. I don't think not every anime can just follow the Demon Slayer like formula, have amazing visuals, and think people are going to watch. Not to say that Demon Slayer is bad. I don't need people coming after me for that. Demon Slayer, in my opinion,
I'll say it for you.
Yeah, Demon Slayer, in my opinion, is good. But what originally drew me into it, of course, for a lot, like it was for a lot of people, I think was the art style and just that blending of art styles, because it's like almost like a 3D CG-esque mixture with anime. And a lot of times in the past, not every CGI anime style has been good. Like there's been some times where you can mix CGI, but CGI is not really the best option for anime series and everything. But continue, go ahead.
Another one I dropped. Let's see. Hold on. Let me just quickly pull up the drop list, right? Sure. Another one I dropped is what was it? Hold on, it's loading for a second here. Well, I mean, if we're going popular series,
it doesn't necessarily have to be popular, but I guess something that's a little bit more well known would help for people who maybe don't watch everything but have heard, some rumblings around of certain shows.
Yeah, Black Clover was one that I dropped on, and
so go ahead. I got something locked in the chamber for Black Clover. Go ahead.
Okay, Black Clover was one I dropped. And Black Clover was interesting, right? Because I watched the anime I when it first aired, right? And trying to keep up with, this is going to be the new long-running shonen. Let me just keep up with it as it's airing. Could not keep up with it. Dropped it. And yes, it was because Asta's voice was way too annoying. He kept screaming. I couldn't take it anymore. So they were like, oh, well, it's dubbed now. So watching it in dubbed, right? Maybe that'll help you. And I was like, oh, cool. And it did help. It took out my annoyance from his screaming. But I still didn't like the story. I was bored. And then I only watched like the first like 2 little mini arcs, right? And they're like, well, you haven't even gotten to the good stuff, right? Read the manga. So I was like, okay, fine. I went to subs, I went to dubbed. Now I'm going to manga. I read 100 chapters of the Black Clover manga, 100 chapters. And I was like, guys, this is not for me. This is not for me. I don't see the vision. I don't really see the appeal of this. I do like my battle shonen. I like my action shonen. I do. But I don't see the appeal of this. I was like, this is bland. I don't like the characters. I don't think this is well written. I will say Black Clover is bad. I don't think Black Clover is good. I'm sorry, Black Clover fans. I just did not enjoy it. And I even went back and watched the anime version of what I read, and I was like, still did not enjoy that. I think I'm done with this show. Everyone keeps telling me, but Elf reincarnation arc, and I'm like, I didn't make it there, guys. I didn't make it there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So for me, I tried. I really, really tried. Like I got my list over here. Let me see if I got it pulled up so I can see what episode that I left off on. Because like I gave it the old college try. I left it and came back 3 separate times.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, and it's just because it's like you said, it's a long-running shonen anime. It was up there. People were trying to say it was part of the new big 3, which, in my opinion, is you can't really have a new big 3 per se, especially considering One Piece is still going. Naruto, I mean, they're in their Boruto era, but they're still going technically. And Bleach, everybody already knows Bleach is back, baby. Bleach is up there, So you ain't really replacing that or touching that as of this moment. I think maybe once those shows have concluded, you can maybe say there's another big 3. But same when you said like Asta is a very loud person as a character, and I didn't like the voice. Not to say that the actors are doing a bad job, but it just comes down to if, for example, Naruto, he says Rasengan pretty much every time he uses Rasengan, right? If his voice was annoying, you wouldn't want to watch like 12 episodes of him saying it, because he's going to use that move in Child Clone Jutsu at least 5 or 6 times per episode. And if you just can't vibe with the voice and you got to watch a whole series of this, it's just not going to be a fun time. Aside from that, it's just like I felt like they tried so hard to be the big 3 and to be that classic shonen feel that they kind of maybe fumbled the bag in the beginning. So like with One Piece and with Naruto and with if you want to go back a little bit, a lot of people say that Dragon Ball isn't the big 3, it's grandfather the big 3. But if you just want to go off of like Bleach and One Piece and Naruto, their beginnings are slow, but they ramp up. They have characters in serious situations. Some situations you can relate to, like Naruto not being liked at school or not being liked in general. Some people can relate to that on the school aspect, or just feeling like, they're just having a hard time making friends and things like that. With this, it's kind of like if okay, have you seen Mashal, like Muscles and Magic and all that?
Have you?
It's kind of like the entire first half of the show, from what I've seen, from him being at the church slash orphanage to him being at the night academy and everything, is literally just kind of like Mashal to me. And Mashal pulled it off really well. He's a guy with no magic per se, but he uses his working out and his muscles and everything to win fights. So you got Asta, no magic and everything, and then he gets magic in like what, episode 2 basically. He gets his anti-magic, but he works out his body and everything, trying to overcome his struggles and everything. And it's just a lot of yelling, a lot more. It took a lot more episodes for me for it to get good than it did for them. How do I say this? I spent a lot of time just kind of like watching mundaneness than I was watching time of it like getting to the good stuff, and not necessarily having to be action per se, because not everything has to be strictly fighting. I like stuff that has a good plot to it, but it just felt kind of boring, and the jokes were very slapstick, very lackluster in some areas. And when I went into it, the vibe I was hoping for was like maybe a Seven Deadly Sins type, vibe, where things would just ramp up, and you got your action, you got your romance characters, potentially you got your depth and stuff that pulls you in, because like every sin in the Seven Deadly Sins has their own backstory that are just like these deep, well thought out things, like Bond and the fairy forest, and he's immortal, and then you got Meliodas and he's got his lost ancient love. Like all that's really cool and it pulls you in. But Black Clover's got that, Pirate King, Hokage, like aspect where he wants to be the Wizard King. Like, oh, it's the same formula, just in a different context, a different font. It just wasn't really for me. Another show that was hyped up for me that I tried to give a good college try is A Returner's Magic Should Be Special. I heard the manga for it was good. And I can't entirely blame it on the animation studio, because like everybody I'm sure tries their best, but there are literally like scenes where the animation is just bad. Like the last episode that I watched, there was a scene where they were supposed to be breaking an army is coming to break down a door, and the door had a frame for like a good solid couple minutes where the door was already broken open. Then it went back to being fixed. Then it got broken open again. And then there was also like an immediate dip in animation quality. And I just couldn't find it. Well, it wasn't really engaging. Like the first episode pulls you in, like they're fighting a dragon, there's magic and everything. And it goes to like a high school setting almost. And it immediately just takes a dip in terms of engagement for me personally. But other than that, I've tried to give certain shows like there's a Sister Is All You Need. I tried giving that a go because I saw a lot of clips about that being a decent show for that genre. I couldn't get past episode 1. I'm looking at it right now. I have 8 minutes left on episode 1. I couldn't get past that. I'm hoping Solo Leveling is good. I still got that queued up to watch. But what about you? Is there anything else that you have to drop, or just that you're maybe looking forward to that you're hoping isn't going to be like a garbage fire?
I mean, shows that I had to drop. I mean, I can list a bunch of them. Recently, Shy was another one. This is pretty much everyone's like, it's the second coming of. Well, for like 2 weeks, everyone said it was the second coming of My Hero, and I was like, it's not like, not, I'm not a huge My Hero fan, but it's nowhere near as good. Revenger was one that I dropped recently. Orient was one that kind of disappointed me. It was done by the same creator as Magi. I was a little disappointed in that. Let's see. Giant Beast of Ours was also kind of disappointing. Blue Lock, that's a big one that I dropped.
Really? So I'm not into a lot of sports anime shows, but I'm not gonna lie, I did like Haikyuu. I've heard good things about Kuroko no Basket. But Blue Lock looked interesting. I was willing to give it a try. So I'm a little disappointed to hear you didn't like it. Let me
Well,
ask you something.
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No.
I,
Go ahead, man.
I was gonna say it's not that I didn't. Well, no, it is that I didn't like it, but it's the reason why I didn't like it that I think matters because Blue Lock is very. So sports anime is dramatic, right? You've seen Haikyuu, right? It's dramatic, right? They over dramatize it to get the emotional feel, to get the story, to get you to be invested, right? But Blue Lock takes itself way too seriously. And that's the appeal that most people like about it, that it does take itself way too seriously. Kind of like how it's like, imagine what Food Wars did for cooking times 100. That's what Blue Lock does for soccer or football, whatever you want to call it, right? That's what Blue Lock does for
Food Wars was it was okay. So Food Wars was really good, but it was also borderline H word we're not going to talk about on here, but like that's borderline what it felt like.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Minus the fan service. Blue Lock doesn't have any of that. Minus the fan service. I'm just talking about how serious they took cooking. Times that by 100. That's how serious they're taking soccer in Blue Lock, and so that's the like a main appeal that most of the fans have. That's what they love about it, right? That's what I hate about it. It takes itself way too seriously.
So it's so serious that you can't really have like it doesn't have fun. Like it can't really laugh at itself, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much.
Let me ask you.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you. Did you watch Rent a Girlfriend?
I have.
So that's on my list, and I want to do like romance themed stuff for February because Valentine's Day. Why not? Yeah. And I've heard so many things like he's like a terrible main character for the show, but it's so bad it's good type thing. But then all of a sudden you also got all these other ones that dropped, like you got girlfriend, you got the 100 girlfriends who really like you. So you already got like some similar-esque shows that are being put out that are going to fill that void that probably had. There's another one. What is it like? Komi-san Can't Communicate or something like that. And I've heard a lot of fans recently are talking like there's like another love triangle, and it's like a never-ending cycle of the same stuff. So I might give that a try, but if it's just going to be like a repeated formula the entire show, I might not. But what was your take on Rent a Girlfriend?
It's bad, but it's a wonderful hate watch. I am caught up to the anime, not caught up to the manga, but I'm caught up to the anime because season 3 just finished airing this last year. It's bad. It's my trash hate watch. Like I love to sit down every week and be like, all right, what shit are we getting into now, right?
So it's like so bad it's good type thing.
Yeah. For me personally, I see why a lot of people just dropped it. But for me personally, it's so bad it's good. If you want like actual good romance, yeah, go the Komi-san route, go the Kaguya-sama route, go the Yamada-kun level 999 route, and any shoujo romance, go that route. Those are actually really well done.
For me, in terms of romance ones that I really liked, Toradora, actually have it on DVD, really good show. I've heard good things about I think it's Horimiya. I think that one's really good.
Horimiya, that's a good one.
Yeah, there's another one that's really sad, but it's a very heartfelt, very good show when it comes to the romance aspect, and everything progresses kind of naturally. And the reason why it's kind of sad is because, if I'm not mistaken, it's based on a video game where it's like a dating sim. So there's like 2 different versions, there's multiple like options, and it was Clannad and Clannad After Story. I loved the entire romance aspect of it. It was really good. Same with Plastic Memories, but they're sadder shows because of how they end and everything. And they took a 2-route option with Clannad and Clannad After Story. And Plastic Memories is just a heartfelt, like, if you want to talk about shows that just make you want to stop watching anime and just maybe like cry in a corner for a little bit, Plastic Memories and Clannad did that for me in the same way as like I think it was called Angel Beats. Angel Beats did that for me too.
Angel Beats,
in terms of like, those will definitely pull at the heartstrings. But that I think wraps it up for today. I actually want to have RJ out here for some more videos, so hopefully you guys like this. And just thank you again for getting us up to around 23,000 subscribers. Like, I really cannot stress that enough. It's been a hell of a ride. I hope we continue to grow. I want to grow the anime community. I want to make this a safe space for everybody who just enjoys manga and anime, just the community who likes going to conventions. And the plan at some point is to just have like a bunch of anime YouTube creators, big and small, and just have like a group together where everybody can just come together and talk about things and share not only like their knowledge of the community, their knowledge of anime, but just like have a place where we could talk about our fans of our channels, where we could talk about our favorite animes. Like RJ is doing hot takes, things that you like or don't like about shows. I want to bring everybody together. I want to be, and I'm sure Mark, I can't talk because I'm so hyped right now. I want to be like the Markiplier of anime, the MatPat of anime. I want to get up there and just bring joy to people's lives in a way that like shouldn't normally be possible, but in our generation, in our day and age, you have these people who have been such a big influence on you, even though you've never met them in person. I want to be able to do that for the anime community, and I know that you want to grow and have that type of community as well, or at least I hope you want to have.
Yeah, no, that's the dream. That's the dream. That's definitely the dream. Yeah, I know. Thanks for having me up here. As always, it's been a blast, talking about anime. Just love, shooting stuff and, just talking about anime. Thanks for having me up here, always love collaborating with other creators. I feel like the community really, we really need to come together more often. I feel like
we really do. And there's strength in numbers, strength in community. And I want to be able to try and give a voice to like the smaller channels and let them know that even when you do get a little bit bigger, you're still the same person at the end of the day. I'm not better than anybody, whether I have 20,000 subs or 1,000,000 subs. I will always be the same authentic person and treat everybody the same way that they treat me. But with that said, this is Eternal Phoenix and my boy RJ signing out.
Bye.